But we love what we do. We're bringing the action, we're bringing the energy on this Wednesday. And a guy who always brings the energy, of course, our friend Al Watkins.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, one of the best attorneys you're going to find in America. Al, it's good to hear you. Good to see you. You and I touched base yesterday. You gained some national headlines when the shaman, Jacob Chansley, wanted you to help him when he was first seen at J6. And then, of course, we had you back on a few days before you were on Tucker Carlson when video showed security officers at the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, walking him around. What's the latest with Jacob? What's going on?
You have to remember, and thanks, Nick. It's a pleasure being here. The fact is that you have a young man, a really great guy, totally gentle, intelligent, pleasant human being with some vulnerabilities. He's the guy who was naked walking around D.C. in January with tattoos and horns and fur, and he's a mess. Great guy. Couldn't be a nicer guy. The government tried to characterize him as the leader of the insurrection, like he's going to take over the nation in horns. And at the end of the day, we had a lot of machinations in that case, and ultimately a plea was worked out. Jake has made headlines because he's now, as a free man, having done only 19 months, his 41-month sentence after the sentencing. He's gotten mentally into a state where he feels like he needs to set aside his plea, which procedurally is going to be virtually impossible. But if he did, the problem is he's vulnerable to actually being sentenced to more time than the very favorable outcome that he ended up getting. And that's what's sad. You have a young man who had vulnerabilities, still does. The government knew it in 2006. They knew it in 2021. They withheld evidence from him. And you have a lot of people blowing whispers in Jake's ear, and he's vulnerable to that. So the media makes a big deal out of this, and they want to point to Jake and look at his vulnerabilities and point about his violence. Well, he couldn't have been more peaceful. He couldn't have been more
There was no
simple.
violence.
So this is just a classic example of mainstream media creating a monster out of thin air. And yeah, does he say some goofy things? Is he a little bit outside the bell curve of what you might consider normal? Sure. He doesn't deserve, no American deserves to be treated that way.
So what's going to happen now with this? What do you want to happen? What do you think's going to happen? And is this an intentional situation that the DOJ is trying to go after him again, maybe?
Yeah, no, the DOJ was put in their place by me by the time we got done with this case.
They were.
And the court actually learned a great deal about what was really going on. And you saw a real shift in the dynamic by the DOJ after that case to stop identifying every single J6 defendant as an insurrectionist, all right? But what you're dealing with now is simply a vulnerable young man who, because he was the face of January 6th, everything he says becomes some big mainstream media issue. And what I hope happens is he's allowed to carry on and get the help he needs.
So, Al, does he feel a lot of guilt? Is that why he wants to do this? Is that he got out and he has other patriots that are still there in D.C. in jail? So is he feeling like a lot of emotion since he is vulnerable, like he's guilty, like he should be with them? Is that where he feels? Is that where
Lizzie, that may very well be a part of it. I can't tell you that for certain. What I do know is he's situated in Arizona. He does have a number of friends, colleagues, and people that he embraced prior to January 6th. And I think they are playing a role in his life. And everyone has the right to believe what they want to believe, be it QAnon on any level or anything else, being a shaman. That's your right as an American. The unique thing here is that you have a guy who wears horns and face paint, and he's odd. He's a curiosity, but a great young man. And we have to stop trying to characterize our those who were January 6th as anything other than Americans who had an opinion that tried to share and voice that opinion.
We're talking with attorney Al Watkins, who was representing Jacob Chansley. The shaman did quite a good job for him, helped get him out of prison. I'm curious, why is he listening to or thinking that trying to get his initial guilty plea vanished or wiped away is going to help him somehow moving into the future?
Yeah, so there's some people in this world who things go into that ear and their mind processes it, and next thing you know, they have an opinion. And then 10 minutes later, somebody speaks in the other ear and it processes, and they have another opinion. And they may be different opinions, but they're very genuine. So people who are internally conflicted have issues. And sometimes they manifest themselves in a way that, like with the military, with some folks, they get diagnosed with a mental health issue. And the courts can do that as well through the Bureau of Prisons. And you have psych evaluations. And really, at the end of the day, right now, Jake is a free man. This is not about J6. This is about a young man who needs help.
So clearly you don't have communication with him anymore. I guess you're not representing him, correct?
No, I'm not, but I support him, and I am a fan of his, and I do have indirect communication with him.
Man, Al, I hate to hear that for Jacob. Clearly, after what he's been through already, we had somebody who was at J6 last week on our show talking about what he witnessed. He didn't partake in anything, even though he was pretty much invited to do so in several instances, not only outside the Capitol, but inside the Capitol. So anytime we talk about Jacob, what he's been through, what you helped get him out of, and then, of course, now trying to push through with this, it makes you wonder, that's for sure. I get why you'd want to talk about this, and just let everybody know if you see something or you know what's going on, this is why.
Yeah, it's a shame, but this is where we are in our life, and through good work by you and Lizzie and others, you're getting the education out. It's really important.
Hey, bud, while we have you on the phone, anything else got you riled up these days? What's going on? Every time you turn out there's something.
Let me tell you a secret, and this will be news soon. You have an administration who's talking about electronic vehicles, the savior of our world. And you have an environmental protection agency under that same administration that's thwarting the very EV craze that's going on. Regulators, administrators, and they're fighting. And you're going to see some fun very soon on a federal level and a state level. Watch what happens.
Wow. Al, we appreciate, man. That's why we know what's going to happen. We don't know the details, but I guarantee if you're telling us something's going to happen from an EV standpoint is. Buddy, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, friend of the show.
Thanks for having me, always.
Once again, if you're looking for representation, Al Watkins right there ready and waiting for you. Al, we love you, man. Have an awesome Wednesday.
Good to see you all.
All right.
Have a
Al
good day, Al.
Watkins always lights things up when he comes in to cancelthisshow.com.